EduMagic Monday. We're going to get started in about a minute. Today we have our guest speaker, Brittney Caldwell, joining us today. I'm going to be dropping in our large group chat here where you can connect with her over on social media and where you can drop your ideas for today's webinar over on our Padlet link, just like we've used before. So we'll get started in just about a minute. And I'm excited to see some familiar faces back with us. Welcome, Haley and Lisa. Welcome to you, Nan. Good to see you here. And today we have with us Brittney Caldwell, who is going to be sharing with us all about how to build relationships virtually in the online space. She's going to be sharing out practical strategies that she uses each and every day with her students. So Brittney, welcome to Student Teaching During COVID and EduMagic Mondays. We are pumped to have you here. I am so excited to learn alongside you. And friends, I got a sneak peek at her presentation. It's amazing. I am so excited to have her share. So Brittney, welcome aboard.
Hi, this is go around, I think, right?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said this is our third go round together, right?
I know, right? Yeah. So we did the KDP webinar series back in August. You have a podcast episode coming out later this month with EduMagic, and then today as well. So it's great to have you here again.
I'm super excited. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
And this is definitely a subject that is dear to my heart because I'm in the trenches with this right now, with all this transition, last minute transition into virtual teaching. So I do teach AP United States History and US History in Atlanta, Georgia, and it is an 11th grade course. We are still EOC testing. So it is an 18-week course for US History. So we still have an EOC at the end of the semester, and it's just been a whirlwind. And step one, I believe, is building the relationships with your students.
Absolutely.
So this is a very exciting topic for me.
All right, friends. So in our Padlet, it's dropped in our large group chat. Share those ideas that Brittney shares out with us today. And without further ado, Brittney, let's get rolling here. Go ahead.
Let's go. So today we are here to talk about making connections and building relationships with students. I know that I work in a county where it is not required for my students to have their face camera on. And a lot of the time they're just on like mute and no camera. So like I tell them, oh my gosh, you guys, I feel like I'm teaching little initials, like begging, can I get it a Bitmoji? Can I get something, you guys? So here's just a couple of steps and tips that I can give on ways that I have built relationships with my students during this time. So just some cute little quotes. Why is it important to have relationships with your students? Well, the strength of our student relationships makes the difference in translating our passion for teaching into their passion for learning. I'll always say a child will do anything for you if they like you, if they have a connection to you. They will give that effort. They'll put forward more versus if they just do not know you and do not care about you. Teachers who put relationships first don't just have students for 1 year. They have students who view them as their teacher for life. And that we all love that compliment. Oh, you're my favorite teacher. Like, I loved her. They tell all the other kids who are coming into your class the next year. We all live for that. It's a teacher compliment that we love. And it's important for you to have those relationships. And it sucks that during this time, it's hard to do it online, but here's some ways. Let's go. Like I said, reasons why student-teacher relationships are important. It leads, and it has been proven to increase academic results. Your students feel safe and comfortable with being motivated. They have a reason to keep logging in. A lot of these students really do not want to be just sitting at the computer all day. If they feel more connected with you, they'll feel more obligated to log in for you, keep you happy, be engaged. Having a strong relationship with your students can also make interacting with their parents a lot easier. It boosts good behavior, I believe. It's just all around conducive to a better learning environment. So step one, before school even started, I actually posted my welcome open house. Since we can't have a physical open house, I posted it on my Instagram. I can tell you guys, parents like Instagram too. Parents, students, even if you don't use Instagram, any platform that you're comfortable with. I would not recommend like really Facebook, but any other like platform that you're comfortable with. I made my video welcoming them, telling them what to expect. You could also do flyers. So like I said, giving advanced information on who you are and getting personal, not too personal, but your favorite things, where you went to school, what's your dog's name, what's your cat's name, what's your favorite color. These are things that just make them look at you as a person and not just a teacher online. It makes parents feel more connected and students. Include your photograph, just like you want to know what they look like. They want to know what you look like as well. I also included my login information to make the first day easier. I don't know where to log on to. Well, it's actually on the welcome flyer. So let's knock out two birds with one stone to make it easy to translate. Make your welcome letter attractive, make it appealing, make it bright, bring energy into that first initial meeting so that when they look at the flyer or look at the video, they can be excited to get to know you the next class.
And Brittany, you have a favorite tool, right? You have a favorite tool to create these flyers?
Canva.
Yes. Yes.
Canva Pro. Listen here, all teachers, hear ye. Canva Pro will save your life over and over and over again when it comes to, they have like YouTube flyers, Instagram posts, Instagram flyers. They have even student worksheets, welcome home letters. They have everything. They do offer the basic free to educators, but I did go ahead and invest in the pro. It's worth it, and it's taken me up a notch. I am not one of those graphic people. I look at people on Instagram and I'm like, how are her graphics so good? Even on Teachers Pay Teachers, I'm like, I don't understand how they're doing this, but Canva has made me a competitor for sure.
I love it. Yeah, I just have the free educator account. I love using Canva. It's free for educators. Friends, if you want the link, just DM one of us and we'll send it to you. Maybe I'll even put it in our webinar notes for later today. And Brittany, this is just a great strategy to have, whether you're virtual, hybrid, or traditional face-to-face, to have a welcome letter and welcoming students to your class, letting them know that login info that they'll probably need anyway for a traditional learning space, but this just amps it up a bit. I love this.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I love the videos, honestly. I'm a video person. The
And,
the letter can go with. So that's always the good news, right?
and you always look fabulous in all of your posts. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love this. All right, let's
I
keep going here. What else we got?
So incorporating fun movements when you're getting to know each other. Incorporate movement, raise your hand, clap your hands, stand up, grab your throat. It's easier with people who have kids who are required to show their video. But like for me, where a lot of my kids, I'd say about out of 120, I've only seen about 10 to 15 faces. So we'll do the raise your hand or put an exclamation in the chat box if type things when you're getting to know each other. Students can kind of see who is similar with them. So I'm like reading out their icebreakers, which I'll get to. I'm reading out certain questions, put your hand up if you have a dog. Okay, Michael, tell us which dog you have. Kind of just little active things where they have to actively be engaging to learn about one another. I'm using classroom surveys and reading the results out loud. I asked them at the beginning of the class, how do you learn best? What are some of your favorite activities? What is your favorite thing to do? What are you afraid of? What has been the height of COVID? I basically sent out a survey so I could kind of get to know them individually. And then during class the next day, I said out loud, okay, well, a lot of you guys seem to like X, Y, and Z. So those type of things that kind of make it a holistic group experience. Have each student share a fun fact or have them raise their hand. I was spot calling on a lot of students and just, hey, tell us like 3 things that you want us to know about you. And I just love going down my random list. It keeps them very engaged because they don't know who's going to call, who's going to get called on next. And also make sure as a teacher, you're participating too. Always sharing about yourself as well. Just little games that are fun when you're getting to know each other. You can go to the next slide.
Yeah, I love this idea. It keeps them on their toes because you never know when you're going to get called on. I think that's fantastic. All right, next slide coming up here. It's thinking. There we go.
With US history, I love introducing a class constitution. Rules are way easier to follow when you feel like you had a say. So I'm just like from day one. So guys, what do you think are very rude things that people could do online during online learning? Let's sit down and just think about ways that we could adhere to respecting each other and especially me. Class rules, students are more likely to adhere to rules when they have a hand in creating them. As far as a virtual setting, a lot of children do not know the perfect virtual etiquette. I've had to sit down and teach my children how to not put 3 sentences in the subject line and why that is important to not do and how you should at least say good morning before you're emailing. So there's a lot of things that we have to address and make rules for. Ask students to create rules for their new virtual settings and write them down as a class constitution. Save it in a file that's accessible to them along with the syllabus and course materials, something that makes it easy for you to go back and reference. This shows your students that you care about their feelings and value their opinions. It gives them the opportunity to really be able to critically think about ways that they could be disengaged or be seeming disengaged or disrespectful online without you necessarily having to point them out. It's a great way to also build that community in the classroom and allow students to engage with one another before we go into the content.
Yeah, and this is a great strategy again for virtual learning and then also for your traditional learning spaces where students can create that class constitution and agreed upon rules. And you're right, when they have buy-in, they're more likely to adhere by those.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Anytime that I just plugged in my picture, I don't know why. Anytime that you're addressing your students, I had the biggest issue with this when we began. I had to say their name like over and over again, and I say their full names. And that's another reason why I randomly call on students anytime I'm even just giving a lecture and I'm like, okay, so Daniel, paraphrase what I just said to you really quickly for the class in a different way. So that keeps them on their toes, like we said earlier. And it also allows me to now I kind of know Daniel's voice because I've called on him multiple times. When they're speaking, sometimes I can't really, when they speak out on the mic, I can't always tell who is who. So I've asked them, say your name before you begin speaking. Like, hey, this is Daniel, blah, blah, blah. It makes it easier for me. So just always go out of your way to relate the name with something. Students hearing their names makes it feel more personable. And I always try to at least spot out, like, say they turn in an assignment the next day, I'm like, hey, Enquavius, class, I just wanted you guys to know Enquavius killed it on this assignment. And X, Y, and Z, like, use their names, call it out. Go through in the beginning, you can go through and play the A through Z game and ask students to raise their name and say their own name out to the class so that you know how to pronounce them. So I'll start with A. All my A's, raise your hand. All right, take it from the top. And say their names, and it makes it a lot easier for you also to know how to pronounce their name and for everyone to kind of see a list of who's in the class, what's going on in here.
I love the shout outs to students. You killed it on this assignment. You're slaying this work. Nice job. You're pronouncing their names properly and calling them by name, knowing that they are seen, heard, and valued in your class. These are fantastic strategies. Keep them coming, Brittney. I'm going to
Thank
flip to our
you.
next slide here. All right. I think it's on. Can you see it?
It's still on the last slide. Okay, now I see. Use
Perfect.
the virtual background in Zoom to show your favorite places. So some days I'm in my kitchen. Some days I'm in my office downstairs. Some days I'm in Paris. Some days I'm in Mexico. Like, keep it engaging. Some days I'm in my dad's office. Some days I'm outside. Keep it engaging. You don't have to have the same background all the time. Use it as an opportunity. I feel like my students, I've kind of like grown a relationship with them. They see my dad walking behind me and they're like, oh, good morning, Mr. Barber, to my dad, sometimes. So sometimes your background can make them feel more relatable and engaged with you. Or even if, you don't want to show your home. Hey, you guys, I'm in front of the Eiffel Tower today. I've never been, but who has been? Who's been to France? Just as a beginning conversation starter, use your background as a way to grow closer to them and keep it engaging. I wonder where Miss Caldwell's going to be today, versus that same old white wall. It's a conversation starter.
Yeah, so I need to change my plain old white wall back here. But I love I love your idea of I wonder where Miss
I wonder where Miss
where Miss Caldwell is going to be today, and I'm in front of the Eiffel Tower. I've never been before. Starting those conversations, or even starting off your background, like in the setting of a story, kind of building that anticipatory set. Okay, I'm gonna have to start changing up my backgrounds.
Yeah, no, it makes it super fun. Like
Yeah.
I said, this just kind of touches on what I said. It just allows them to get to know you better every day. They're excited to log in. And also, I'm a very big advocate for recording your videos. And, even if you're just somewhere super cool and you want your students to know, sit down and do your lecture there if you have the time. And it just looks really cool. I mean, we all live for a nice aesthetic.
Right, right. Awesome. All right, let's see. Did it? Okay, there we go. It's thinking there. Yay.
Be real and transparent. That is the biggest way to build relationships with your students when they know this is not some weird teacher robot. On the other hand, who does not know me and I don't know. I'm like, you guys, whoo, I am struggling. At the beginning of the year, I was very transparent with them about my anxieties, my struggles, my nervousness. And I'm like, I wish I could see you guys. I teach for relationships and the interpersonal interactions, and that was my main drive for teaching. So this whole virtual learning experience has been a doozy for me because I feel like my main passion has been kind of like snatched from under my feet, and I don't really know my students, and it's been just like a process for me, which is why I've used these strategies, and now we're feeling better, right? But if you're struggling with a lesson, even during the lesson, be honest with them. You guys, hold on. I thought this was going to work like this, and it's not. Give me a second. I am looking for something else for us to do. Use those failing moments as opportunities to grow closer with them, because I'm sure that they have those moments every day where they're feeling very confused, very lost. I even made a video where I was just like, oh my gosh, I just feel so bad. Like I'm doing everything wrong right now. And they actually, a lot of them made me feel better. Like, no, I mean, you're actually beating yourself up. This is not that bad. We can't tell it's bad. And I'm like, oh, well, perfect. So it's like, it works out. Explain to them that you're working and y'all are learning together. When you're not just acting as a teacher and you're acting as also a learner, it makes you feel more personable.
Right, it really does. So coming alongside them and learning alongside them. This is new for everybody. So how can we work together to make this the best learning experience for all of us? And I love how you said, guys, this isn't working the way I thought it would. Just give me a second to find something else. That has happened to me as well. Or like I'll plan a lesson and like I'm like, I don't think it's gonna land very well in the virtual space. Let me flip it a little bit, try some different materials, and just be vulnerable with them. Hey guys, I want to try out this new tool. I've never used it before, but let's learn it together and let's see how that goes. And just being vulnerable, I think really does show your students you're human and you're making those connections and you're learning too.
I actually even witnessed my son's teacher do this, and he's in the second grade, and she is amazing. And she was like, guys, your behavior is really hurting my feelings.
Mm.
And I feel disappointed. I feel frustrated because I've given you guys a lot. And she was just being really transparent. And then they all tightened up like ASAP. So I was like,
Well,
oh,
don't we do that sometimes in the traditional space? Like, okay, guys, let's come back together. Let's have
yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, and I just really I appreciated the realness. So let students, like I said, let students see you make mistakes. It's okay. They're understanding, and I feel like it makes you more likable. we can go on from that
It
one.
makes you more approachable too, more human, more, yeah, just more approachable.
For sure. Get to know your students. There's no question that students will find it difficult to engage in whole class settings. So I always say, okay, you guys, like I'm gonna hang out after class is over. If you want to chat, let's chat. You got 10 minutes, ask a question. Let's hang out. Do you want to say something off the record? And I had one time where no one had their camera on the whole class. As soon as class ended and I'm like hanging out, it's like 7 people show up with their camera on. And I'm like, really, you guys? Really? But some people just don't feel comfortable in that big class setting. And that's when I've really gotten to know most of my kids is off of the class setting and like just during my office hours that are online or during just times after class. So we don't know what a lot of these kids are going through. A lot of my kids are working, others are babysitting siblings while they're doing their own work. Some do not have full connectivity. So providing them with opportunities to get to know you and ask you questions is very important. Making yourself accessible outside of those synchronous hours, which can be frustrating for us as teachers because we know on those days off, you want your days off. But I tell them all you have to do is message me to schedule an appointment and I will meet you on Teams and we can get it figured out. So that's been really good. Like I said, it's just worked better in small groups or one-on-one for me as far as getting to know them.
And I can tell, like, throughout your social media, you were just all about relating to your students, getting to know your students, building those relationships are number one. Before we can get that content out there, we got to get to know our students. Traditional, hybrid, virtual, all the things. Yeah.
For sure. And getting to know their interests, what excites them. I always ask them, like, what's your favorite thing about history? What's your favorite time period? What really like just moves you? And in that process, you learn about them and what they watch and like what they do. And I learned that I think it's Call of Duty actually has a lot of World War II references in one of the games. Or he's like, oh yeah, I know about the Treaty of Call of Duty. And I'm like, awesome. Like, well, let's see how we can turn this into a project for you. So it's just asking questions to where you get the answers that you need to drive more targeted instruction.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's keep them going, Brittany. This is fantastic. I love this graphic you have coming up next.
Yeah, well, and it says it all. Instruction is very important. Content is also very important, but real life relationships, a lot of people think it's small, but it's still very important. It's very important. They all go hand in hand. And I know that we're in a rush. With me, I'm such in a rush for instruction and content right now because of this end of course test. But at the end of the day, I always do stop and take time out of my class periods and just talk and just, how are you guys? So what's going on? Like I started class off today, like, so tell me a low from yesterday. Someone tell me a high. How are you guys? Okay, Cece, how's your pet? Just take the time out and focus on real life to make it feel like a real classroom, because that's probably what they miss about class too, those minutes before the bell, or giving you a hug, or talking with their friends before class starts during the bell ringer, so you got to give them that free time in our classes too, a little if you can, or facilitate that type of discussion.
Right, just having those conversations with your students in the moments between courses, between sections, between Zoom meetings. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what else do we have here?
Just a couple of little tips. Do frequent check-ins. Like I said, I randomly just, even if I'm in the middle of lecturing out, Keith, are you there with us? What are you doing? I'm choosing randoms. Do frequent random check-ins because it's really easy to put your computer on mute and no camera and play Fortnite on accident when you should be paying attention, right? So we need to make sure that they're listening. Master the soft start ease into class. Maybe just start off with something for the news. Hey, did you guys hear about this? Did you guys see this on the news? Something that just kind of ease your way. Vary with synchronous and asynchronous. Offer your remote office hours, like I said, and encourage students to come. Hey, I noticed that you haven't been doing your work. Let's meet at this time offline and let's just kind of chat face to face. Try to have your camera on if you can during that time. Ask students for feedback. So I don't necessarily do a Friday feedback as much. We do FaceTime Friday, where I ask them, can y'all please put your cameras on for this day? Let's do FaceTime Friday. Let's chat, let's talk, let's do a discussion, something that makes it fun to where we're looking at each other. And they really like that. So they can commit to Fridays, like making sure everything's all together. So most of us are on the cameras on Fridays, FaceTime Fridays. So that's been good. But I do also ask for feedback a lot, not necessarily on Fridays, but I think that's easier for some teachers to just, okay, so how was this week? But I'll ask kind of throughout the week for a lot of feedback. Incorporate group work and mixing up groups, and they hate it, but it is imperative. And like I tell them, my students have hated me assigning them random group work, but you need some type of socialization. Like, get on out there. Do not take lead in your class all the time. Make them talk to each other. You got
Right.
to.
And within your synchronous meetings, some of them you can do breakout rooms. Maybe they can collaborate there on a doc in a synchronous meeting or something like that. So they can connect with each other, communicate, collaborate, all those good things. Yeah.
I've been giving them projects that actually also require them to talk with one another outside of synchronous time, you know?
Nice.
Yeah, talk
Yes.
to one another, make it work out there. Um, like I said, outside office hours, that's just a picture of me and my kids. I asked them if I could post it of us just kind of hanging out and just hanging out. If you notice, I'm like actually in my room and we're all just kind of chatting offline. And it was a fun chat. It was just a fun chat outside office hours. And yeah, I think it just is a good look overall.
Yeah, and not just connecting about content, but connecting, having that relationship, having that human to human contact, and just saying, let's just talk about our days. What's going on? What can we do? That type of stuff. What can we do to support one another? Absolutely. This is great. And Brittany, I know we're finishing up today. There we go. This is what I was looking for. Um, so would you be able to share how we can connect with you over on the gram? And I'm gonna go on over to our questions and see what questions we have for you.
Perfect. Please feel free to contact me at Caldwell's Classroom on Instagram. If you're not an Instagrammer, chat Caldwell's Classroom at gmail.com, and I definitely email back super ASAP. Last time I did this panel afterwards, I had so many emails actually, which was so exciting. And it was great. So please, if you have any questions, veteran teacher, new teacher, we all like feel like new teachers right now, kind of, but anyone, please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, Caldwell's Classroom on Instagram, chat Caldwell's Classroom at Gmail.
Perfect. Awesome. And Lisa mentioned here in the chat, whenever you go back to our Zoom backgrounds, all the different ones you were talking about, she said maybe even have students make backgrounds as formative assessments. That's a really cool way to assess their learning, have them create a background. That's really
That's
cool.
that's a great idea,
I
honestly.
love that. I love
Especially
that.
me with US history. We could get into a lot of geography type, you know.
Yes. Yes.
For
I'm liking that.
the webinar. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments for Brittany today? I haven't headed over to our Padlet yet, but I think I'm going to do that after our session today. So if you have a question in there, could you drop it over here in our go-to meeting question? I don't know, Brittany, this was awesome. You had some great content to share with us. Lots of practical strategies, great for virtual, hybrid, or traditional learning spaces. I think that you, Brittany, I'm going to call you out. You killed it today. Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to watching all of these webinars.
Awesome.
We'll
Awesome.
we'll
Well, maybe you'll
definitely
be back in the spring. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
please, please. If someone cancels, you know where to come. I'm just kidding.
I know you answer emails super quick. All right, friends, I have 2:30. I want to thank you so much for spending this half hour with us today as we talked about building relationships in the virtual space, some do's, some don'ts, some practical tips to take along the way in your teaching journey, whether you're a field student, a student teacher, a practicing educator. Brittany, thank you so much for your time today. And I know that these participants got a lot of info, great strategies that they can implement right
Yeah.
away. So thank you so much.
Have a great day and thank you guys for inviting me.
No problem. Bye for now, friends.